Comic Palooza is almost here. It's going down June 20th to the 22nd at the George R. Brown Convention Center. Comic Palooza is a must-do for me every summer. You have comic book fans, movie fans, wrestling fans, anime fans, and so many other fandoms, usually dressed up in their best costumes, all under one roof for Texas's biggest pop culture fest. And once you're inside, there is so much to do, like celebrity panels, interactive experiences, tons of exhibitors, and more. Check it all out and buy your tickets now at comicpalooza.com/CityCastHouston. Hey Houston, did you know that the first day of summer is the world's biggest annual music event? That's right. June 21st is Make Music Day, a global celebration of music, and Arts District Houston is turning up the volume again. You're invited to a free, all-day, family-friendly music fest with live music, local music makers, and more. Businesses, artists, and community partners join forces to make this an unforgettable music day right in the Arts District. Follow at Arts District HOU on Instagram for updates and performance schedules. That's June 21st. Celebrate the joy of music in the heart of Houston. Today on CityCast Houston. Ever since we lost power last year during Beryl, I've been debating buying a generator for our house with my wife. So today, I'm bringing on my friend Michael Hardy from Texas Monthly to share why he bought a whole home generator and if that 5-figure price tag is worth it. And before we get to today's conversation, over the weekend, over 15,000 Houstonians marched downtown peacefully as part of the National No Kings protest. There were no arrests or violence. We'll have a full breakdown of the protest on tomorrow's show. It's Monday, June 16th. I'm Raheel Ramzanali, and here's what Houston's talking about. Michael, my wife is bugging me every single day about buying this generator. I started this prep, and I talked to a few people, and now that hurricane season is here, she is really, really like, hey, come on, you got to get this done already. But you did actually go through and, pull the trigger. Why did you do it? Because this is a pretty expensive investment into your home.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And, my wife and I had the same conversations last summer, and it was prompted by the fact that we lost power at our house 3 times in the first 3 months that we bought this house. Mm-hmm. There was the derecho last year, and then there was kind of derecho part 2, where we lost power. And then there's Hurricane Beryl. That was the big one. We lost power for 6 days in, the middle of the summer when it was 100 degrees. Tried to tough it out the first night, ended up going to a friend's garage apartment and staying there. But after that, that was just the last straw. We said, if we're going to stay in Houston long term, which we want to, we really need to invest in a whole home generator.
So why don't you trust the Texas grid? Because CenterPoint, specifically the provider here, has been doing a lot of energy upgrades and reliability upgrades, and they've been running the commercials, telling us that they're doing all these upgrades. It sounds like you still don't trust this grid in CenterPoint as well.
Well, I don't think many people who lived through last summer's storms in Houston have a lot of trust in CenterPoint. That's a kind of a trust that they're going to have to earn back, not just through words, but through actions. We'll see what happens when the next storm comes through. It's not entirely their fault. We are a disaster-prone city. We have hurricanes. We have major thunderstorms. Things happen, and power lines come down. So whether it's CenterPoint, whether it's the state grid, whether it's just natural disasters, Houston is a city where I think if you can afford it, it pays to have a generator.
Yeah, for sure. And you went through that process. So walk me through it a little bit, because it is a big investment again. And there are so many factors like the size of your home, how much power you need. So without getting too technical, what was that process like for you?
Well, we decided if we were going to get a generator, we just wanted to go all in and get a whole home generator. We had done some research. We knew there were different types of generators. There are portable generators of various sizes. You can get generators that are powered by gasoline, diesel, a combination of diesel and natural gas. We just decided this was a long-term investment for us. We want to get a whole home generator that's going to power the entire house. Luckily, we have natural gas. So our generator is hooked up to natural gas. It's 22 kilowatts. And what we were told is that it will power our house through, however long of a outage there is.
Oh, wow. So that means AC, refrigerator, lights, all that stuff.
Everything.
Oh, wow. And did you pick up any like tricks or tips along the process that you could share?
Well, it pays to shop around. Some people that I know have gone through Costco to save some money. We actually went through Home Depot, which referred us to a Generac, distributor called Cantor Power Systems. We went with the Generac, which is the largest whole home generator manufacturer in the country. But you can also get one from Kohler. There are a couple of other companies that sell whole home generators. So far, we've been happy with it, although the caveat is we have not actually had to use it yet. In the nearly years
Yeah.
worth of time since we bought it, there has not been a significant outage. We only know that it works because there's a test run every Friday afternoon.
Okay, gotcha. So it worked for that test run, but you luckily haven't had to use it, which is a good thing, right? Like that means
Yes.
power is good. But don't you want to just get like one quick test before hurricane season? I don't want to lose power, but like just a test.
Yeah, it kind of would be nice just to have like an hour's worth of power outage to test it. But all in all, like you said, it's a good thing that we haven't had to use it.
Yeah. I want to share this tip that I've picked up. And again, I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I know we will because, again, we're going to be in this house for the long run and we don't want to be without power, especially with 2 kids. But here's a great place to start because every home is different. Every need is different. Every budget is different as well. So instead of like going through scenarios, here's what I recommend. Check with your neighbors and check with your neighborhood groups and ask them who installed generators for them. And then, of course, get a meeting with that person. Make sure they're a licensed electrician because they are working on your home electricity and all the lines and all that. And they can answer so many questions. But like take that first step and talk to a couple of people who have worked in your neighborhood because there are permits, there are things to consider locally for each neighborhood and each house. There's also now like solar battery generator companies out there. There's solar backups in general. Did you consider any other option or was the whole home Generac the go-to for you?
I wish I could say that we did more research, but we were so desperate after Hurricane Beryl that
Yeah.
we just wanted the whole home generator. We did what you suggested. We did talk to some of our neighbors, and in fact, that was virtually all that our neighborhood was talking about in the wake of
Oh,
Beryl.
yeah.
Every get together with a neighbor was like, "Who's getting a generator? What kind of generator are you getting?" I would say maybe a quarter of the houses in my neighborhood of the Houston Heights now have some form of whole home generator, which is way up from before,
hmm
and that's true across Houston. The generator sales have just really spiked, especially since the winter 2021 deep
Yeah.
freeze. That's what really set a lot of people off.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that like as one of the pivotal moments as well. And you do have to consider safety because if it is a gas powered generator, you don't want it too close to your house or there could be carbon monoxide risks there. And you don't have to get a whole house generator, by the way. You could buy a portable generator that powers up your fridge and only uses about 600 watts of power. That's what executive producer Laura Isensee did last year during Hurricane Beryl. She actually just used an old gas portable generator from Hurricane Ike. So there are several options out there, and I'm linking those resources in the show notes. It's not a Texas road trip until you've gone to the Gulf. And just off the Texas coast sits a unique beach town marked with salty vibes and sun-soaked memories, Port Aransas. This is where family traditions unfold naturally, and beauty lies both in island views and the quiet moments between adventures. And with 18 miles of shoreline, you can cast your line, kayak with the kids, or simply cruise the coast in a golf cart. Port Aransas is where multiple generations can get together under one roof to share slow mornings in front of the beach and cool evenings with the Gulf breeze. It's time to sit back, bury your feet in the sand, and let Port Aransas anchor your new family traditions. Go to visitportaransas.com and plan your visit to Houston's beach.
This episode is sponsored by Babbel. Have you ever picked a vacation spot based on where you won't need a phrase book? With Babbel, the language barrier no longer has to hold you back. You can start speaking a new language with confidence thanks to Babbel's conversation-based techniques, which quickly teach you useful words and phrases about the things you actually talk about in the real world. Babbel has more than a dozen languages available for you to learn at your own pace, with material tailored to your individual proficiency level, interests, and time availability. I'm David Ploth, CEO of CityCast, and I've been learning Spanish with Babbel. What I really love about learning Spanish with Babbel is that it works with me where I am. The app and the website keep track of what I've learned. They help me review what I probably forgot from last time, and always is keeping me engaged with a new challenge based on actual conversations I might have in Spain or Mexico or Colombia, especially food conversations because I love food conversations. So get talking with Babbel. I want you to learn another language, so I'm teaming up with Babbel to give you 55% off subscriptions, but only for CityCast listeners at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/CityCast, spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Babbel.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Looking for a getaway that's equal parts relaxation and adventure? Then it's time to choose your chill at Margaritaville Lake Resort, Lake Conroe, Houston. Right now, you can pick from 3 amazing offers to match your perfect escape, like stay longer and save more. That means more time to unwind and enjoy everything Margaritaville has to offer, like my favorite, hanging out by the resort-style pool with a cold drink. And if you're looking for a weekday retreat, Margaritaville Lake Resort has you covered. Book a weekday stay and score a $50 credit to use on spa treatments, dining, and more at the resort. And for our everyday heroes like nurses, teachers, first responders, and military personnel, you can relax lakeside with a special $99 heroes rate. No matter how you chill, there's a deal with your name on it. And it's all just an easy 1-hour drive north of Houston. So what are you waiting for? Head to Margaritaville Resort, LakeConroe.com and choose your chill today. For you, you're not alone. Like you mentioned with your neighbors, like you're not the only Houstonian buying whole home generators. What research did you find on just how popular they are right now amongst all Houstonians?
I did some research into generator sales and found that between 2018 and 2023, the number of generator-equipped single-family homes in Houston roughly tripled.
Wow.
And so did the stock price of Generac, which
Yeah.
is the leading manufacturer of whole home generators. And that's not a coincidence.
I saw that in your story.
Yeah. So this is quickly becoming a investment that more and more Houstonians are making. And it's also becoming something that people look for when they're buying homes. They're looking for, places that already have a whole home generator installed. And that's contributing to what a New York Times reporter has called the generator divide in Houston, which is, there are certain people like my wife and I who can afford a generator and we have that privilege and those resources. There's also the vast majority of Houstonians for whom that's a stretch. There was a recent study from the Kinzer Institute at Rice that said, around half of Houstonians would struggle to make, to find $400 in an emergency, which really, shows you how much of a divide economically there is.
Yeah. And that generator divide, that was one thing that I wanted to talk to you about as well, because it is happening in everything you just laid out. It's hard to comprehend this though, right? Like there's a part of Houston and a majority, it seems like, where even though everyone's buying generators, not everyone can afford one because they are very expensive. I mean, we're talking 5 figures. When is that investment worth it, in your opinion?
Yeah, in full transparency, my wife and I spent around $17,000 for our generator.
Wow.
Which, is the cost of a very nice used car.
Mm-hmm.
It was a major investment. And we recognize that we're privileged. At the same time, again, we saw it as an investment for the future.
Mm-hmm.
If we ever sell our house, we think that'll be a selling point. And it's just a matter of, being able to take care of our friends and family during an outage. Now that we'll be able to power our whole home, my elderly grandmother could come over and stay in a guest bedroom. We could take in a neighbor. So it enables us to sort of take care of other people in an emergency.
You haven't had to use it yet, but so far it sounds like it's totally worth it for you just for that peace of mind.
Peace of mind is kind of priceless. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hearing it run every Friday afternoon gives, a pretty good sense of reassurance.
Yeah. How loud is it, by the way?
It's not as loud as we thought it would be. If you're in the house, it's kind of a dull
Yeah.
rumble, somewhere between like a lawnmower and a motorcycle.
Hmm.
You kind of get used to it when it's running. I haven't really asked our neighbors what they think about it, but most of them have generators of their own, so I
Yeah.
think they understand.
I want to go back to the tipping point, right? We brought up the ice storm in 2021. Hurricane Beryl, I think, was another one as well. These tipping points, yes, the power grid, of course, like we've had our issues with it. And, tragically during Winter Storm Uri, we lost a lot of lives across the state of Texas, right? So, like, there's an actual like fear of losing your life because of the Texas power grid. But like as a Houstonian growing up, nobody had generators, right? Like, I don't know about you, but yeah, for me, it was just like nobody had one. Maybe somebody had a small one during a storm, but that was it. And it has really changed in the last few years.
I don't remember anyone having a generator when I was growing up in Houston and Austin. It just wasn't on people's radar
Yeah.
that I ever remember. It was kind of something that I always associated with, doomsday preppers or conspiracy theorists, people who were trying to, live off the grid or something. But sadly, it's become almost, a necessity in parts of Texas because of how lax our state regulators have been, how little that they've done to ensure that we have a steady power supply in emergencies. I think in this area, as in many others, people have lost their faith in the government's ability to protect us during
Yeah.
emergencies.
Yeah. And that's what I wanted to get to. It's like there is a direct correlation of these generator sales going up and trust in our government when it comes to regulating this industry and making sure that we have one of the most basic necessities covered during a natural disaster.
Yeah, I mean, the basic question is, do our state officials work for the people or are they working for big business and the power companies? And I think most fair people looking at what has been going on over the past few years can only conclude that our state leaders are more interested in ensuring the
Mm,
profitability of gas and energy companies than they are in ensuring the ordinary person's power supply in an emergency.
yeah. That's so sad just to think about that because as we mentioned, there is a generator divide now. And for the folks that can't afford one, a whole home generator or even a portable generator, like what's the solution here, right? Maybe there's payment plans. Maybe they can get it on layaway and, maybe that's an option. And I think you have to check with each provider when it comes to payment plans. But like, what is the real solution here, Michael? What is it?
Well, the truth is that nobody should have to buy a generator. Nobody should have to buy a generator in the 21st century in the wealthiest country on earth. It is a dereliction of duty on the part of our state officials that anyone even has to consider this. So, the first thing I think we need to do is look at who we're electing to office and who is lining their pockets. The second thing we need to do is do what we can as a city to ensure that our most vulnerable residents are taken care of during storms. We need to open more cooling centers. During power outages, we need to have more responsive emergency responses. We need to ensure that Centerpoint is doing its job. Centerpoint is a state granted monopoly and they hold the monopoly at our pleasure. We need to make sure they're living up to their obligations.
Yeah, with a lot of profits, by the way. I do want to put that out there. They're making a
Yes.
lot of money.
Yeah, it's a state guaranteed profit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's guaranteed. Like, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's a Google search away. So you can learn more about just how much money they're making. Michael, this was a very interesting conversation. And I do want to leave everyone with one last thing. I have linked in our show notes a resource guide for how to stay cool if your power goes out and also how to prepare ahead of time, right? If you don't have a generator, here are a few things you can do. So please check that out in the show notes. I know my wife is going to listen to this episode because she subscribes to CityCast Houston. So you might be getting a thank you note from her that this is the reason I finally pull the trigger and get a generator and, give that peace of mind to our family as well, because we are in hurricane season, but even outside of hurricane season, you just never know.
Well, good luck to you and your wife. It's a big decision. I'm sure you'll make the right one.
Yeah. And if not, I'm coming over to the Hardy house.
Okay. You're always welcome.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks.
That was Michael Hardy, senior writer at Texas Monthly. I've linked his story about buying a generator plus all the resources I mentioned in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it in your favorite neighborhood group on social media, WhatsApp, or Nextdoor. And we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a rating and review wherever you listen, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Looking for ways to celebrate Juneteenth? Check out our daily newsletter, Hey Houston, for the best events around H-Town for the holiday and all summer long. Thanks. That will do it for today. I'm Raheel Ramzanali. Thank you for listening, and here's hoping we don't lose power.